Guys, hope all is good. I was just working on my new single right now, to be launched hopefully September time. But anyways, I know what I was thinking about someone, and I want to talk about this on my Conscious Advice channel, and that is the use of drugs and substances to calm your mind. So why do people use them, or why do we use them? So pretty much all these substances which people use, they just use them, obviously because they're addicted to it, but they're addicted to the calmness, the peace that they find within themselves when they use these substances. uh, and that's what they do. Alcohol, whatever kind of drugs people use to just stop their mind, their own mind from making them stress, anxious, worrying about the future or the past, and not living the present moment. So it almost seems like these drugs temporarily bring people to the present moment, because at that point when they're on the substance or drugs, they are not worried, they don't think about anything, and they're in the moment and they're happy. But now the problem is when it wears down, uh, you know, they require the drug again to come back to that form of enlightenment. I guess it's almost like you can say that, using substances can bring you to a state of enlightenment, if that makes sense. What is enlightenment? It's pretty much, being here in the now with no thought activity, or having your thoughts take over you, because your mind and your thoughts are, a separate entity, you can say, or a tool. Your mind is a tool and you use it when you need to use it, but at times people get drawn into their own thoughts, and depending on the circumstance, wherever they are, the situation they're in, if they're angry or upset, either from, certain triggers, even like if there's something that reminds them of their ex, or anything that reminds them, any trigger that triggers a memory, the mind, to activate and then take over you. So people, whoever use drugs, it's they use it so that they can come to that moment, the present moment of enlightenment almost, and forget about everything, alcohol, whatever forms of drugs that are out there. And that's what people are addicted to. But unfortunately, like I said, when the drug wears down, and it it no longer is in the system, in the body, and it's not functioning to keep the person in that enlightened state, the person has an addiction. So um, you know whoever's going through a drug problem, and whatever it is, it's the first thing I would suggest maybe is obviously get some help. um, you know not to be, I know it's hard to explain this, because at one point, what point have you gone too far with the drugs, right? I mean, at some point you have to just stand up for yourself and say, whatever you're doing is not the right thing. And to achieve that state of calmness gets, especially with the mind working, if whoever is on drugs, if you're on drugs or whatever it is, it's a little bit harder to get out of that, to break out of that, that thought activity, because now you're dependent on a substance to keep your mind calm. Also, drugs, obviously taken because of peer pressure, by people, who, want to be cool, or want to experience life. You can experience life, as you are, and be high on a high as you are without any substance, but unfortunately people need drugs to keep them, maybe, and it could be maybe an experimental thing. I mean, you know, unless you're really strong with yourself and your mind, and you know when to stop, then I don't know. I mean, if that's what makes you happy, then go for it. But obviously there's repercussions, right? I mean, using drugs to be at a state of calmness and to basically be in the moment, or you know, be in a place of magic that most drugs, you know, actually tend to do for a short temporary time, is, you know, unfortunately not the right thing. um, the reason why I talked about this is because, you know, there was someone who actually OD'd, and it's the person is not in the, you know, is on life support, and you know, it's hard to say, think, and to fathom the fact that, you know, a person's life could have been different if he or she has taken a different path, a different choice, and chose not to use those drugs for experimental reasons, peer pressure, or even just to calm themselves down, to get away from the stress and anxiety, which is also caused by your own mind, by recurring thoughts of worrying about the future and the past, and not thinking about the present. I hope, you know, this helps whoever's watching this, and if you're going through whatever, in a situation where you're into deep with drugs or whatever it is, I would say the first step to do is, you know, obviously check yourself into rehab, or you know, try to get out of it. Try to find peace within yourself, and you just got to fight a little bit more harder now to get away from that addictive state. And you know, just try to be focused, and try to be as much as you can to get out of it, because you don't want to end up like this person that I know, who is in the hospital. So anyways, I hope this helps you guys. If you like this, please do share if you know someone's going through something, and hopefully, you know, they'll be make the conscious decision to make the right choices, and to try and get help from themselves. All right, so I gotta get back to this new single that I'm working on. But anyways, if you really like this video, please do subscribe, and please do share. And yeah, until the next one. All right, take care.